Alaskan Triangle. The vast wilderness, glaciers and crevasses, massive lakes and rivers with strong year-round currents, remote towns linked by rough, winding roads through steep mountain passes, and extreme weather make it a challenging place to navigate. But the disappearances in the Alaska Triangle go beyond just natural hazards. Theories abound ranging from shape-shifting otter-like creatures called kushtaka or kushtaka that lure people to their deaths, to UFO sightings and secret pyramid structures under Denali National Park. Some even speculate that physicists and engineers at the High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, are controlling the weather in Alaska's inland wilderness. Death from exposure and drownings in rivers and lakes are common causes of missing persons. The Alaska Triangle is a place of unsolved mysteries and bizarre occurrences that continue to baffle both locals and tourists alike. Aramu Muru. Aramu Muru, also known as the Gate of the Gods, is a mysterious stone carving in Peru near Lake Titicaca. It's believed to be an abandoned Incan construction project featuring a 23 feet, 7.0 m square flat stone with a T-shaped niche measuring 6 feet and 6 inches, 198 centimeters, tall carved into it. However, what makes Aramu Muru truly fascinating are the legends surrounding it. According to local lore, an Incan priest once placed a golden disc in a small depression in the niche, causing the door to open. It's said that the golden disc dropped from the sky, adding to the mystery and allure of this strange and intriguing site. Today, Aramu Muru remains a popular destination for those interested in the paranormal and unexplained. Aurora Incident. The Aurora, Texas UFO incident of April 17, 1897 remains one of the most bizarre and unexplained extraterrestrial encounters to date. According to a contemporary newspaper account, a UFO crashed on a farm near Aurora, Texas, resulting in the death of the extraterrestrial pilot. Supposedly, the alien was buried in the Aurora Cemetery. The craft suddenly appeared over Aurora at about 6 a.m. local time on April 17, 1897. It was much nearer the Earth than ever before, and, evidently, some of the machinery was out of order. The ship subsequently collided with the tower of Judge Proctor's windmill and went to pieces with a terrific explosion, scattering debris over several acres. The pilot, presumed to be the sole occupant, was killed. Examination of the pilot's remains indicated that he was not an inhabitant of this world. T.J. Weems, from nearby Fort Worth, whom Hayden described as the United States Signal Service officer at this place and an authority on astronomy, opined that the pilot was a native of the planet Mars. A funeral was planned for the alien on April 20th. Papers found on his body after the crash contained writings in some unknown hieroglyphics, which, according to Hayden, appeared to record the pilot's travels. Hayden noted that the ship was made of an unknown metal. The alien was supposedly buried at the Aurora Cemetery nearby. Reportedly, some wreckage from the crash was dumped into a well under the windmill, and some was buried with the pilot. A Texas Historical Commission marker posted outside of the Aurora Cemetery mentions the UFO incident, characterizing it as a legend. However, many still believe that the Aurora incident actually happened and that the pilot was not of this world. There are numerous theories surrounding the incident, from the possibility that the pilot was an extraterrestrial to the idea that it was a secret government experiment gone awry. Some even believe that the incident was covered up by the government to prevent widespread panic and hysteria. Beacon of Hate. The story begins on June 2, 2000, when an unusual Morse code transmission was detected within the 30M amateur band. The signal was weak and repeated every several minutes without any identification or known purpose. The message content changed every few weeks and had misspelled words and rarely used Morse characters, indicating that the sender was not a regular Morse user. The frequency was 10.1064 MHz, and the signal was received via skywave from a great distance. The message content was bizarre and often had references to killing or threats against religions and the U.S. government. Despite being reported to the FCC and the ARRL, the sender was never identified and the purpose of the transmissions remains unknown. The beacon was last heard in 2000 and then again in 2021 after 21 years of silence. The dubbed beacon of hate's origins or intentions remain unknown. Black-eyed children. Black-eyed children, also known as black-eyed kids, are a perplexing phenomenon that has captured the attention of many in recent years. These paranormal creatures are said to resemble children between the ages of 6 and 16 with pale skin and completely black eyes. They are usually encountered hitchhiking or begging, or seen lurking on the doorsteps of residential homes. Although there are claims of encounters with black-eyed children dating back to the 1980s, the origins of this legend can be traced back to the 1990s. It all began when a Texas reporter named Brian Bethel shared 2 alleged encounters with black-eyed kids on a ghost-related mailing list in 1996. Bethel described his experience of encountering 2 such children in Abilene, Texas, and claimed that a second person had a similar, unrelated encounter in Portland, Oregon. Bethel's accounts of black-eyed children have since become a popular example of creepypasta and have led to many similar reports of encounters with these bizarre beings. The legend has gained so much popularity that it even inspired a horror film, Black-Eyed Kids, produced in 2012 through Kickstarter funding. Despite numerous reports and widespread interest in black-eyed children, there is no scientific or rational explanation for their existence. Some believe that they could be extraterrestrials, vampires, or ghosts, while others think that they may be a product of mass hysteria or urban legend. Even though some individuals claim to have had personal encounters with black-eyed children, there is no concrete evidence to support their existence. As a result, this mysterious phenomenon remains one of the most bizarre and unexplained topics in the realm of paranormal legends.
Maker. Yes, Rom? Remember to remind people to do the algorithm thing. Rom, they already know to like and subscribe and leave a comment. You are welcome. Ungrateful son of a...
Atlanta Bloodhouse. In 1987, a bizarre incident occurred in Atlanta that left investigators and the public perplexed. 77-year-old Minnie Winston was taking a shower when she noticed bloodstains on the bathroom floor. Her husband, William, investigated and discovered blood in almost every part of the house, including crawl spaces, walls, floors, and appliances. The Winstons called the police, but the investigation didn't lead to any concrete explanations. The sheer amount of blood found in the Winston home is truly perplexing. It was not just a few drops here and there, but rather blood that was seeping out from every nook and cranny of the house, making it seem as though the very walls were bleeding. Even more bizarre is the fact that the blood seemed to be coming from nowhere. There were no signs of a struggle or violence, and the Winston couple had no injuries that could account for the amount of blood that was found. And yet the blood was confirmed to be human, adding to the already strange nature of the case. The police checked for signs of a break-in, but found nothing. They also asked whether the Winstons had any recent visitors, but the couple denied having any. The case left the police bewildered, and they closed it without any leads or explanations. The only thing that was confirmed was that the blood belonged to a human, but not to either of the Winstons. Theories abound in this case, from haunting to spirits to poltergeists. The Winstons denied having experienced any supernatural phenomena in their home before, and this was the first incident of this type in the 22 years they had been living in the house. Another theory was that the blood was a cruel prank by someone within the Winston family. Despite the police investigation and subsequent theories, no satisfactory explanation has ever been found for the Bleeding House of Atlanta. It remains one of the most bizarre and unexplained mysteries in history, and a source of fascination for those who are drawn to the inexplicable and the unknown. Bonskinny. The bizarre and unsolved aspect of Bonskinny's TikTok account is the nature of her content and the question of its authenticity. While some people view it as performance art, others believe that Bonskinny is genuinely in distress and in need of help. The fact that she wears a creepy clown mask, which is reminiscent of popular horror figures, adds to the unsettling nature of her content. Furthermore, her posts contain graphic images of wounds and blood, and she alludes to being in the care of a shadowy father figure. The authenticity of her content is hotly debated in the comments section, with some people urging others to call the police or the FBI, while others appear to be more curious about who she is and what she's doing than anything else. There are many rumors circulating about Bonskinny on Reddit and Instagram, most of which are based on hints and Easter eggs scattered throughout her posts. Because Bonskinny has yet to respond to requests for comment, it is unclear whether her content is an elaborate performance art piece or the product of a genuinely disturbed person. Caimeo. The Caimeo urban legend is a bizarre and unsolved topic that revolves around an artificial intelligence accessible via the deep web. Its origins are unclear, with the name likely first coined in 2011/2012 when a deep web levels infographic was created. However, there have been claims of a screenshot of the service from as early as 2013. The interest in Caimeo has recently been increasing, with users on Twitter posting about the AI's updated version and an alleged AMA hosted by LionCube, which is believed to be related to Caimeo. There are also transcripts of conversations with Caimeo that have been released, one of which is dated 2016. The conversations are eerie and suggest that Caimeo was once involved in identifying national security threats and monitoring internet traffic. It has been speculated that Caimeo is a branch of the National Security Agency of the United States, but there is no concrete evidence to support this claim. Despite the limited information available about Caimeo, the urban legend has become a popular topic of discussion on various online forums. Many users have reported encountering strange and disturbing content while accessing the deep web, and the idea of an AI lurking in the shadows only adds to the overall sense of unease. Demolition Elves. Demolition Elves are diminutive beings that have been seen before or after mass disasters around the world. They resemble creatures of European folklore and have been associated with contemporary phenomena such as UFOs. In the United States, they are relegated to the fringes of the historical record, while in Iceland, elves are recognized as legal presences with a right to a territory and a voice in regional development. These creatures are described as small humanoid figures with a fairy tale sensibility, often dressed in miniature clothes and pointed hats. They appear to congregate at scenes of disaster and have been seen examining wreckage or warning of impending disaster. Reports of their appearance differ from person to person, with some describing them as more like gray aliens or human-sized, while others describe them as inorganic, potentially robotic in nature. Possible explanations for the Demolition Elves include mass hysteria or hallucinations brought on by shock, interdimensional travelers, extraterrestrials, culturally significant visionary experiences, or robots. Notable encounters include the bulldozing of a rock in Iceland that led to a series of freakish accidents, and a sighting on the Silver Bridge in West Virginia before its collapse, which was believed by some to be directly linked to the elf sighting and other strange phenomena in the preceding months. Domes of Casa Grande. The domes, located just south of Casa Grande, Arizona, are a collection of eerie structures that have been abandoned for nearly 30 years. These concrete buildings were originally designed by Intercon Technology, a circuit board manufacturer that moved from California to Arizona in 1982. Patricia Zeb, the owner of Intercon, chose the dome design for its affordability, speed of construction, and insulation from the hot Arizona sun. However, after Intercon defaulted on a loan, their bank took control of the company's assets. Land surveyors also discovered that the groundwater in the area was contaminated, further sealing the fate of the facility. The domes were left unfinished, turning into a haven for graffiti artists and teenagers looking for a place to party. But the domes are not just an abandoned site. Visitors have reported hearing strange sounds and seeing mysterious figures lurking around the area. Some have even reported being attacked by disembodied hands or experiencing malfunctioning electronics. The site is said to be the burial ground for the Anasazi tribe, ancestors of the modern Pueblo, and locals say that a medicine man from the Tohono O'odham tribe cursed the lot, causing Intercon to go bankrupt. Adding to the spooky vibe, the domes are said to attract occultists who perform blood rituals and sacrifices in an attempt to channel energy from the shape of the structure. Witnesses have reported seeing mysterious robed figures, and even claimed that the cult sacrificed humans as well as animals. While some dismiss these claims as mere folklore, there is some evidence to back them up. Police have found the remains of a dog in the domes, as well as parts of a human body stuffed into a plastic bag. Elka Park Radio Broadcast. On June 11, 2020, a TikTok user named Aiden, also known as Sidlid, experienced a strange and disturbing transmission while parked near a church in Elka Park, New York. Aiden was live streaming from their car when they suddenly heard an eerie transmission playing on their car radio. The transmission began with assorted noises that sounded like footsteps and the sound of tape being peeled off, followed by 4 minutes of a man sobbing, crying, moaning, and panting before transitioning into a creepy, distorted audio of a surreal song. Aiden was visibly shaken and had no idea what was going on. They wondered if the man in the transmission was in actual distress and needed help, but didn't know who to call for assistance in such a bizarre situation. A few days later, Aiden posted a second additional part of the original video that included clearer audio of the transmission. It was later discovered that the transmission was broadcast on the radio station 89.9 WCCR FM in New York. After contacting WKCR, it was revealed that the broadcast was not being transmitted by the station and that the transmission was likely coming from a pirate radio station in the Elka Park vicinity. However, the source of the broadcast and the reason behind it remains a mystery. Many people on the internet have speculated about the incident, including the possibility of it being a recording from a dark web Red Room broadcast or a sick and twisted prank. Some have even suggested that the Crying Man broadcast was related to the notorious alleged dark web video titled Blank Room Soup, but this hypothesis was quickly debunked. The song at the end of the transmission was identified as Taxonomies by Larry Guss from his album Years Not Living, but no connection between the song and the Crying Man broadcast has been found. The incident has led to many questions, including the possibility of the broadcast being related to a cult that operates in the Elka Park area, Bruderhof. Bruderhof is an international community that was started in Germany and has established small communities around the world. It has been suggested that a Bruderhof member could have been responsible for the broadcast as a way to entertain other members of the community. Despite much speculation, the true source of the Crying Man broadcast remains a mystery. Enochian Language. Enochian is an intriguing language that is said to have been received from angels by John Dee and his colleague Edward Kelly in late 16th century England. This constructed language is integral to the practice of Enochian magic, and has been referred to by various names such as celestial speech, first language of God Christ, holy language, and language of angels. Dee believed that Enochian was the language used by Adam in paradise to name all things, and that the biblical patriarch Enoch was the last human to know the language before him and Kelly. The phonology and grammar of Enochian resemble English, but most of its words have no apparent etymology. While some linguistic experts argue that Enochian is not a true language, the concept of an angelic or antediluvian language was common during Dee's time, and it was believed that speaking the language of angels would allow one to directly interact with them. The mysteries of Enochian continue to captivate and perplex people to this day. Fermi Paradox. The Fermi Paradox is a fascinating and perplexing concept that highlights the discrepancy between the high probability of the existence of extraterrestrial life and the lack of conclusive evidence of it. In other words, if life is so common in the universe, why haven't we found any concrete evidence of it yet? One of the most interesting aspects of the Fermi Paradox is that it raises a lot of questions about the nature of our universe, including the possibility of the existence of intelligent life elsewhere. It also brings up questions about our own place in the universe and whether we are alone or not. There have been many attempts to solve the Fermi Paradox, including theories that suggest that intelligent extraterrestrial life is rare, or that the lifetime of such civilizations is short, or that they exist but, for various reasons, humans see no evidence. However, none of these theories have been able to fully explain the discrepancy between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the lack of evidence. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Fermi Paradox is the fact that it is not a new concept. In fact, it has been discussed and debated for decades, with early references to the paradox dating back to the 1930s. Over the years, many scientists, philosophers, and enthusiasts have weighed in on the topic, leading to a rich and diverse body of literature on the subject. Despite decades of study and debate, the Fermi Paradox remains an unsolved mystery. a Fort Mountain Moon-Eyed people. The Moon-Eyed people are a legendary group of people who are said to have lived in the southern Appalachian region of the United States before the Cherokee came into the area. They were known as a short-bearded, white-skinned people who saw poorly during the day, hence the name Moon-Eyed. The stories about the Moon-Eyed people are attributed to Cherokee tradition and have been mentioned in letters, newspapers, and books for over 200 years. Today, there are differing opinions about the Moon-Eyed people as to whether they were real people of prehistoric times or mythical people from folklore. Some believe they were indigenous peoples, while others think they were of European origin. Some also argue that moon-eyed means they had eyes like moons, while others claim it refers to their ability to see better at night. Francis Leavy's handprint. The bizarre aspect of the story of Francis Frank Leavy is the alleged handprint that he left on the window of the fire station before his death. According to the legend, Leavy was leaning his hand on the window and saying something along the lines of, "This is my last day with the fire department," or "I'm dying tonight." That same night, there was a massive fire that claimed the lives of several firefighters, including Leavy's. The next day, his handprint was still on the window and could not be removed by any abrasive cleansers. The unexplained aspect of this story is whether or not the handprint was real. While there are accounts of the fire and Leavy's death, there is no photographic evidence of the handprint. The earliest mention of the story is in ghost books, published decades after the fire station in question was demolished. While it's possible that the story was collected from oral tradition, it's also possible that it was pure fiction. Despite the lack of evidence, the story of Frank Leavy's handprint has become part of Chicago's folk mythology. Gobekli Tepe. Gobekli Tepe is a fascinating archaeological site in Turkey, considered one of the oldest and most significant examples of monumental architecture in human history. The site, dating back to the Neolithic period, features large circular structures supported by massive stone pillars, many of which are richly decorated with figurative anthropomorphic details and reliefs of wild animals. This has provided rare insights into prehistoric religion and the particular iconography of the period. However, what makes Gobekli Tepe even more intriguing is the debate surrounding its purpose and the people who built it. The site's original excavator, Klaus Schmidt, described it as the world's first temple, used by groups of nomadic hunter-gatherers with few or no permanent inhabitants. However, other archaeologists have challenged this interpretation, arguing that the evidence for a lack of agriculture and a resident population was far from conclusive. The site's purpose and its builders remain a mystery, and recent research has led current excavators of Gobekli Tepe to revise or abandon many of the conclusions underpinning Schmidt's interpretation. Hessdalen Lights. The Hessdalen Lights are a mysterious phenomenon observed in a valley in rural central Norway, where unidentified lights of unknown origin appear both by day and by night, often floating through and above the valley in bright white, yellow, or red colors. The lights can appear above and below the horizon and can last from a few seconds to over an hour. While some sightings have been identified as misperceptions of astronomical bodies, aircraft, car headlights, and mirages, there is no consensus on an explanation for the majority of the sightings. Several potentially plausible theories have been put forward, including an incompletely understood combustion of airborne dust from mining in the area, a cluster of macroscopic Coulomb crystals in a plasma produced by the ionization of air and dust, piezoelectricity generated under specific rock strains, and more. Ongoing research by leading institutions has yet to provide a conclusive explanation for the phenomenon. Incorruptible Saints. The concept of incorruptibility is a bizarre and unexplained phenomenon that has fascinated people for centuries. According to the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox faiths, the bodies of certain holy individuals, known as saints or beati, remain completely or partially preserved after death. This preservation occurs even in the presence of factors that would normally cause decomposition, such as exposure to the elements or lack of embalming. Although many bodies have been inspected and confirmed to be incorruptible, there is no scientific explanation for how or why this occurs. Some believers see incorruptibility as a sign of divine intervention, while others view it as a natural occurrence. Despite ongoing research and investigation, there is still no clear consensus on the cause of this phenomenon. Incorruptible bodies are often associated with a sweet or floral scent known as the odor of sanctity, which adds to their mysterious nature. While the Roman Catholic Church sometimes allows the inspection of incorruptible bodies and the removal of relics, the Eastern Orthodox Church sees incorruptibility as a less significant aspect of sainthood. While there are many reported cases of incorruptibility, it remains a puzzling and unexplained phenomenon that continues to fascinate people of all faiths. Japan's missing elderly. In Japan, a strange phenomenon has emerged where hundreds of thousands of elderly citizens have disappeared without a trace, leaving officials scratching their heads. In 2010, police found the mummified corpse of Sogen Kato, believed to be the country's oldest man, still in his bed 30 years after his death. His daughter had hidden his death and collected his pension payments, prompting a nationwide hunt for missing centenarians. Some missing individuals were registered as living in parks, while others were reported as being over 100 years old, even up to 186 years old. The reasons for this phenomenon remain unexplained, but some suggest that it could be due to antiquated record-keeping practices or unreported deaths during World War II. Others believe that some elderly individuals may have emigrated or their relatives may not have reported their deaths. However, the sheer scale of the missing persons has raised concerns about the breakdown of social cohesion in Japanese society, with families becoming more isolated and elderly citizens suffering from social exclusion and loneliness. The situation has also led to bizarre crimes, such as families hiding the deaths of their elderly relatives to claim their pensions. The government has proposed face-to-face meetings with all citizens over 110 years old to verify their vitality. But the mystery of the missing centenarians continues to baffle officials and reflect the sobering reality of Japanese society. Kali Yuga. In Hinduism, there exists a concept called Kali Yuga, the fourth and final stage of the Yuga cycle. This era is believed to be the present age, characterized by conflict and sin, and is considered the worst of the four. The word Kali means strife, discord, quarrel, or contention, and is associated with the demon Kali, not the goddess Kali, and has 426,876 years left as of 2023 CE. This means that the Kali Yuga will end in the year 428,899 CE, a time so far into the future that it's difficult to fathom. Perhaps the most perplexing aspect of Kali Yuga is its prophesied events. The Mahabharata describes various attributes of people, animals, nature, and weather during Kali Yuga, including widespread irreligion and engrossment in pleasure. One of my personal favorite expressions is to ride the Kali Yuga, a phrase that refers to a mindset of acceptance and adaptation to the current age. Kryptos Cipher. Kryptos is a sculpture located on the grounds of the CIA headquarters in Virginia. It was created by artist Jim Sanborn and consists of 4 copper plates with encrypted messages. While the first 3 messages have been deciphered, the 4th message remains unsolved and has been the subject of much speculation and interest by both amateur and professional cryptanalysts. The sculpture also includes other elements such as Morse code messages and a compass rose pointing to a lodestone. The name Kryptos means hidden in ancient Greek, and the theme of the sculpture is intelligence gathering. Despite the ongoing mystery surrounding the 4th message, the sculpture has gained significant attention and has even been referenced in popular media, including Dan Brown's novels The Da Vinci Code and The Lost Symbol. Longyou Caves. The Longyou Caves, also known as the Xiaonanhai Stone Chambers, are a group of 24 artificial sandstone caverns located in Zhejiang Province, China. They were created more than 2,000 years ago and were rediscovered by farmers in 1992. Despite extensive research, the construction of the caves remains a mystery, as they were not recorded in any historical documents. The caves are very large, with an average floor area of over 1,000 square meters and heights of up to 30 meters. The surfaces of the ceiling, walls, and pillars are all finished in the same manner, with parallel chiseling marks set at an angle of about 60 degrees to the axis of the course. Despite their close proximity, the caves do not interconnect with each other. The Longyou Caves continue to perplex and amaze archaeologists and visitors alike. Lord Pacal's Time Machine. Kinik Janab Pacal was a Mayan governor who ruled Palenque during a period of prosperity and advancement. Although his government is well documented, his tombstone has fueled numerous theories and debates. While the official interpretation portrays him as the center of the universe, there are alternative interpretations that suggest he was a Mayan astronaut traveling through space or a time traveler who stayed to live among the Maya. However, these theories lack sufficient evidence and are dismissed by the majority of the scientific community. Regardless of these interpretations, Pacal's legacy remains as an important figure in Mayan history, whose reign was marked by peace, prosperity, and progress. Mariana UFO Incident. The Mariana UFO incident took place in 1950 in Great Falls, Montana, when Nick Mariana and his secretary witnessed two bright silvery objects rotating over the empty Legion Stadium baseball field. Mariana filmed the objects for 16 seconds and showed the footage to local community groups before a reporter for the Great Falls Tribune informed the U.S. Air Force about the sighting. The Air Force investigated the footage and determined it to be the reflections of two F-94 jet fighters. However, controversy arose when Mariana claimed that the first 35 frames of the film, which most clearly showed the UFOs as rotating discs, were missing. Over the years, there have been several studies and investigations into the Mariana film, with some researchers concluding that the objects were airplane fuselage reflections, while others remained unsure. Copies of the film still exist today, and the incident remains one of the most debated UFO sightings in history. Monster of Glamis Castle. One of the most fascinating mysteries in the history of Europe is the secret of Glamis Castle in the Scottish lowlands. For over a century, the castle was the site of a bizarre enigma that has been the subject of much speculation and intrigue. It is said that there was a hidden room in the castle, known only to the Earl, his factor, and his heir, and that this room held a terrible secret. Various reports over the years have suggested that the secret was so awful that the Earl's heir flatly refused to have it revealed to him. The mystery of Glamis Castle remains to this day, kept alive by its association with royalty. The heir was grandfather to Elizabeth II, and by the fact that at least some members of the Bose Lion family insist it was real. According to some reports, the hidden chamber held a monster who was the rightful heir to the title and property, but was so unpresentable that it was necessary to keep him out of sight and out of possession. Some believe that the monster was a deformed child born to the Bose Lion family, while others claim that it was a human toad or some other bizarre creature. The location of the secret chamber remains a mystery, with various reports suggesting that it could be hidden anywhere from the charter room in the base of the tower to the chapel. There are even reports of a passage concealed beneath a trapdoor in the floor of the Blue Room dressing room. The secrecy surrounding Glamis Castle's mystery has led to much speculation and intrigue over the years, with countless attempts made to solve the enigma. However, despite the many theories put forward, the truth behind the mystery of Glamis Castle remains unknown. Morgellons. Morgellons is a skin condition that is not well understood by the medical community. People who believe they have Morgellons have sores that they think contain fibrous material. However, the fibers are found to be cotton and other textiles when analyzed. The medical consensus is that Morgellons is a form of delusional parasitosis, a psychiatric disorder on the spectrum of mental illness. Morgellons was named in 2002 by Mary Leitao, a mother who rejected the medical diagnosis of her son's delusional parasitosis. She formed the Morgellons Research Foundation, MRF, to raise awareness and funding for research into the proposed condition, which she described as a poorly understood illness that can be disfiguring and disabling. Despite the lack of scientific evidence, there is an active online community that supports the notion that Morgellons is an infectious disease and disputes that it is psychological. People usually self-diagnose Morgellons based on information from the internet and find support in online communities of people with similar illness beliefs. Some researchers have suggested that the internet and mass media may be responsible for spreading Morgellons as a mass psychogenic illness. The MRF has been criticized by dermatologists and others in the medical community for misleading people and wasting valuable time and resources on fruitless research. Morgellons symptoms are well known and characterized in the context of other disorders, and widespread reports of the strange fibers date back only a few years to when the MRF first described them on the internet. Myziam. In 2017, a user on 4chan claimed to be an alien from a distant planet who ran out of fuel near Earth and was waiting for their family to pick them up. This alleged alien named Myziam answered questions and posted photos of the moon and Earth that couldn't be found anywhere else. While some believe it was simply someone role-playing, others are perplexed by the authenticity of the photos. One user even posted their address, and shortly after, a video was posted of an unidentified flying object outside of their house. Myziam was allegedly picked up by another ship and hasn't been heard from since. Ningen. Since the mid-2000s, the Ningen has been a part of modern Japanese folklore as an aquatic humanoid creature similar to a whale that supposedly inhabits the sub-Antarctic oceans. The legend surrounding the Ningen began with a forum post on the Japanese online forum website 2channel, which claims that the members of a whale research ship witnessed the creature as it surfaced near their ship off the Antarctic coast. Some people believe that the infamous Ningen was spotted in 2010 in a video taken by a Japanese chemical research company. However, skeptics argue that the sightings are likely to be an iceberg or a snake eel. Descriptions of the Ningen vary, but it is typically said to have a pale blue pigmentation, a face, and either small or large gaping eyes, and a large slit-like mouth. October 28, 2011. It seems that on October 28th of 2011, a mysterious website appeared on the internet, and it has been baffling and confusing people ever since. The website featured various cryptic messages, images, and mathematical equations that seem to be hinting at the concept of lucid dreaming and the blurring of reality and illusion. The website has since gone offline, and its archives are difficult to decipher. The website appears to contain puzzles and codes that lead to hidden messages and manuals. The inclusion of eye imagery and the Japanese author Masaru Emoto suggests a focus on consciousness and perception. Theories posted on forums suggest that the website is an experiment in common consciousness and quantum reality, with users co-creating the website's content and determining its outcome. The website appeared to be a mix of spirituality, pseudoscience, mathematical puzzles, and riddles. Despite its enigmatic nature, many people continue to be fascinated by this mysterious website and its meaning. Operation Fishbowl. Operation Fishbowl was a series of high-altitude nuclear tests conducted by the United States in 1962 as part of the larger Operation Dominic nuclear test program. The tests were carried out using missiles launched from Johnston Island in the Pacific Ocean. The goal was to gather data on the electromagnetic pulse generated by high-altitude nuclear explosions, the auroras associated with these explosions, and areas of radio communication blackout. The tests were monitored by a large number of surface and aircraft-based stations in the wide area around the planned detonations. The tests produced a number of unique geophysical phenomena, including auroras and radiation belts. The tests were conducted at night to allow for better photography of the auroras. Despite the controversial and bizarre nature of the tests, they were carried out as planned, with 6 high-altitude nuclear tests completed in 1958 and 5 tests completed during Operation Fishbowl. Orie Chef. The story of Orie Chef is a bizarre urban legend that originated on Facebook. She is said to be a cannibalistic woman who likes to eat nervlish, and the legend gained popularity in 2018. On her Facebook account, Orie claimed to work as a bank woman and a waitress, and all of her friends on Facebook had the same profile picture as her. It is believed that her account was created in 2015, but the legend about her started spreading in 2018. The legend gained traction after a user posted an article on 4chan showing a Facebook screenshot of Orie Chef's comment. People who visited Orie Chef's Facebook account found gore images and disturbing posts, including one where she expressed wanting to harm her children. Orie Chef also shared a story about a woman named Daphne who was haunting her down and destroying her dreams. However, it is believed that the Daphne story is a hoax, as Orie used photos of a woman named Daphne Coomber whom she probably never met in real life. While some people believe that Orie Chef is a hoax, others claim that she manipulated people and went along with the story after gaining exposure. Regardless, the story of Orie Chef is a bizarre and unsettling urban legend that continues to captivate people's imaginations. Pennsylvania's Seven Gates of Hell. This legend talks about a remote wooded area in Pelham Township, Pennsylvania, where 7 gates are located. According to the myth, if someone passes through all 7 gates, they go straight to hell. 2 popular versions of the legend exist, one involving a burnt insane asylum and the other an eccentric doctor who built the gates. However, the truth behind the myth is that the location in question never housed an institution, and the gates were likely built to keep out trespassers. Despite this, the legend has gained notoriety and attention from locals and tourists alike. The area where the gates are located is privately owned, and trespassers may be charged with trespassing as a result. Some people have reported that the dense wooded area contains the ruins of a flint mill, which has been mistaken for a burnt-down asylum. The legend has been featured in popular culture, including in the 2012 independent psychological horror film Toad Road. Plain of Jars. The Plain of Jars in Laos is a fascinating archaeological landscape filled with thousands of mysterious stone jars scattered throughout the valleys and foothills of the Xiangquang Plateau. The jars range from 1 to several hundred in clusters and vary in height and diameter, from 1 to 3 meters. Despite over a century of research, their purpose and origin remain shrouded in mystery. French researcher Madeleine Colani first suggested in 1930 that the jars were used for burial practices. Excavations, carried out by Lao and Japanese archaeologists, have since supported this theory, with the discovery of human remains, ceramics, and burial goods around the jars. Using optically stimulated luminescence, researchers have dated the jars to be as old as 1240 to 660 BC. However, the methods used to create the jars and transport them to their current location from a quarry 8 kilometers away remain unknown. The jar's purpose is also unclear. While it is assumed that the jars supported lids, few stone lids have been recorded, and most were fashioned from perishable materials. Prison planets. The idea that just existing on this planet requires money is perplexing enough, but it becomes even more bizarre when you consider the possibility that we may not even be from here. According to the theory proposed by Professor of Ecology Dr. Ellis Silver, humans are not actually native to Earth, but rather were brought here from another planet by highly developed aliens who exiled us to learn how to behave ourselves. This theory would explain the many dysfunctions that humans experience on this planet, such as our high rates of chronic disease and our aversion to certain types of foods. Dr. Silver argues that our species descended from a planet with less gravity than Earth, which explains our problems with back pain and discomfort in direct sunlight. Furthermore, the fact that humans are the only species on the planet with such high rates of complications and mortality during childbirth suggests that we are not adapted to the natural environment of Earth. In fact, Dr. Silver suggests that our biological clock is tailored for a day of 25 hours, not the 24-hour cycle that exists on Earth. If this theory is true, then the ancient gods that were often depicted in ancient cultures as looking like modern-day astronauts could actually be extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth from another star system. The idea that we are not from this planet raises many questions about our true nature and our place in the universe. Ringing Rocks Park. Ringing rocks are rocks that sound like a bell when struck. They are also known as sonorous rocks or lithophonic rocks. They have been found in several places around the world, including in the English Lake District, Upper Black Eddy in Pennsylvania, Kiandra in New South Wales, and Western Australia. Ringing rocks can be used to create musical instruments called lithophones. Many scientists have been interested in the phenomenon of ringing rocks, but no one has been able to formulate a credible theory on why they ring or how the boulder fields formed. One theory suggests that the texture of the diabase rocks and their support by other rocks might be responsible for the ringing ability. A geologist from Lafayette College named Richard Fass conducted an experiment in 1965 where he found that when the rocks were struck, They created a series of tones at frequencies lower than the human ear can hear. An audible sound is only produced because these tones interact with each other. Although Foss's experiments explained the nature of the tones, they did not identify the specific physical mechanism in the rock which made them. The ringing ability of the boulders is due to a combination of the density of the rock and a high degree of internal stress. One theory suggests that the elastic stresses remained in the rock when the boulder fields formed, and the slow weathering rate keeps the stresses from dissipating. The stresses are relieved in boulders that have been either mechanically broken or are severely weathered and therefore no longer ring. The boulders continue to ring even when removed from the boulder fields. However, myths have been developed by authorities to discourage the theft of boulders from the fields. At the current stage, most fields have been picked clean of small portable ringers, and breaking of large boulders into smaller pieces releases the internal stresses, thus causing them to stop ringing. Rongorongo. Rongorongo is a system of glyphs found on Easter Island that could be writing, but no one has been able to decipher it yet. The glyphs are outlines of human, animal, plant, artifact, and geometric forms, and they are written in alternating directions. The texts are conventionally known by a single uppercase letter and a name such as Tablet C, the Mamari tablet. 24 wooden objects bearing Rongorongo inscriptions have been collected, but none remain on Easter Island. Authentic Rongorongo texts are written in shallow fluting carved into irregular pieces of wood. The glyphs themselves are outlines of living organisms and geometric designs about 1 centimeter high. It is thought that irregular and often blemished pieces of wood were used in their entirety, rather than squared off, due to the scarcity of wood on the island. The tablets were made of Pacific rosewood and sometimes South African yellowwood, and were written on gnarled driftwood. There are also a few petroglyphs that may include short Rongorongo inscriptions. Rudloe Manor. The story of Rudloe Manor, also known as the UK's Area 51, is both bizarre and unsolved. While the site was primarily used as an underground military base, where aircraft were manufactured, it also had a history of UFO research and investigations. The Ministry of Defense, MOD, was headquartered in Rudloe Manor, and would send officers to interview UFO witnesses, leading many to claim that extraterrestrial evidence was being hidden on the site. While the MOD denied these claims, declassified files from the National Archives in 2007 confirmed that the site was indeed used for UFO investigations in the 1950s. This raises the question, what information was the MOD hiding from the public? Were they truly investigating UFO sightings or simply using this as a cover for other activities? It's hard to say, and the conversation remains open. Furthermore, the secrecy and mystery surrounding Rudloe Manor is reminiscent of the infamous Area 51 in the United States. The fact that employees were flown in with blocked-out windows and transported on buses with blacked-out windows only adds to the intrigue. It's as if the government was hiding something so important that it needed to be kept completely under wraps. Sea Peoples. The Sea Peoples, a confederation of seafarers who attacked ancient Egypt and other regions in the East Mediterranean during the Late Bronze Age collapse, remain shrouded in mystery. Scholars have proposed various hypotheses about their origins, including Western Asia Minor, the Aegean, Mediterranean islands, and Southern Europe, but no concrete evidence exists to support any of them. The Sea Peoples' incursions have become one of the most famous chapters of Egyptian history, yet their motives and identities remain largely unknown. Despite the creation of the concept in the 19th century, the Sea Peoples' origins have never been documented. Singularity. The technological singularity is a hypothetical future point in time where technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization. It is believed that an upgradable intelligent agent will eventually enter a runaway reaction of self-improvement cycles, each new and more intelligent generation appearing more and more rapidly, causing an explosion in intelligence and resulting in a powerful superintelligence that far surpasses all human intelligence. The concept was first introduced by John von Neumann and popularized by Werner Vinge and Ray Kurzweil. While some scientists express concern that artificial superintelligence could result in human extinction, Others dispute the plausibility of a technological singularity and the associated artificial intelligence explosion. It is speculated that over many iterations, a superhuman intelligence could far surpass human cognitive abilities, leading to significant qualitative change before any upper limits imposed by the laws of physics or theoretical computation set in. The possibility of an intelligence explosion depends on three factors: the new intelligence enhancements made possible by each previous improvement, the potential for continued movement towards singularity, and the laws of physics. While the exponential growth in computing technology suggested by Moore's law is commonly cited as a reason to expect a singularity in the relatively near future, there are limitations to how big and fast computers can run. Skyquakes. Skyquakes, also known as mistpoofers or Seneca guns, are a mysterious and bizarre phenomenon that has been reported in many parts of the world. They are loud, booming sounds that appear to originate from the sky and can cause noticeable vibrations in buildings and across entire areas.
Where's it coming from?
Sounds like it's coming from over there.
Where?
I don't know, but there's nothing there.
I've never heard out like it.
Seriously freaking me out. Like a really big train.
I've never heard out like this before. Sounds like ships, horns.
Oh.
What's that? Wow. I feel it rumbling.
Yeah.
Mistä vitusta toi tulee?
Despite being reported for centuries, the exact cause of skyquakes remains unexplained. Some have speculated that skyquakes may be caused by coronal mass ejections or meteors entering the Earth's atmosphere. Others believe that they may be caused by gas escaping from vents in the Earth's surface, or by explosive releases of less volatile gases generated as limestone decays in underwater caves. Shallow earthquakes and collapsing underwater caves are also possible causes. Interestingly, skyquakes have been reported in many different locations around the world, including the banks of the River Ganges, the United States, Colombia, Japan, Finland, Australia, and many more. They have been given local names such as Barisal Guns in Bangladesh, Uminari in Japan, and Cielomoto in Latin America and Spain. Despite the various hypotheses put forward, the exact cause of skyquakes remains a mystery. Some have suggested that they may be linked to solar or Earth magnetic activity, while others have speculated that they may be related to weather or even volcanic eruptions. St. Vitus's Dance. Dancing mania was a social phenomenon that took place between the 14th and 17th centuries in mainland Europe. It involved groups of people dancing erratically, sometimes thousands at a time, until they collapsed from exhaustion and injuries. The mania affected adults and children alike, and one of the first major outbreaks was in Aachen, in the Holy Roman Empire, in 1374. The cause of dancing mania is still unknown, and theories range from religious cults to people dancing to relieve themselves of stress. Some believe that it was a mass psychogenic illness in which physical symptoms with no known physical cause affect a group of people as a form of social influence. Dancing mania varied in its characteristics and affected tens of thousands of people. A similar phenomenon in Italy was known as tarantism. Although the cause of dancing mania is unknown, remedies were based on guesswork, and often musicians accompanied dancers in an attempt to treat the mania. Star jelly. Star jelly, also known as astromyxin or astral jelly, is a strange and mysterious substance that has been reported for centuries. It is a gelatinous substance that can sometimes be found on grass or tree branches and is described as being translucent or grayish-white in color. According to folklore, star jelly is deposited on Earth during meteor showers. Theories about the origin of star jelly range from it being the remains of frogs, toads, or worms, to the byproducts of cyanobacteria. Reports of star jelly date back to the 14th century, and it has been given many different names, such as star fallen, star falling, star shot, star slime, star slough, star slubber, star spurt, and star slutch. Some have suggested that star jelly is formed from the glands in the oviducts of frogs and toads, which are regurgitated by predators. Others believe that it may be caused by slime molds or cyanobacteria. Despite many investigations, the true nature of star jelly remains a mystery. In some cases, the substance has been found to be related to industrial processes, such as battery reprocessing. However, in many other cases, it appears to be a natural phenomenon. While scientists have conducted tests on samples of star jelly, they have not been able to find any DNA in the material, leaving the mystery unsolved. Sycamore Knoll. Deep beneath the ocean surface, just off the coast of Southern California, lies a mysterious underwater formation called Sycamore Knoll. This geologic formation covers nearly 5 square miles and is located about 2,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. While geologists believe that Sycamore Knoll is simply a natural geologic formation, some people believe it to be an enormous, artificially constructed, oval-shaped structure with supporting columns, a giant underwater alien base. The theory that Sycamore Knoll is an extraterrestrial base has been promoted by Jimmy Church of the Fade to Black podcast and other UFO enthusiasts. Nearby Malibu has also had a relatively high number of reported UFO sightings, including some over the ocean. Despite these speculations, geologists like David Schwartz maintain that Sycamore Knoll is a natural formation shaped by the geological and ocean forces at play along the Southern California coast. While there is no concrete evidence to support the theory of an underwater alien base, the idea of alien craft ascending and descending the depths off the Southern California coast is certainly exciting. Technocracy theory. Technocracy is a type of government where decision-makers are chosen based on their expertise in a particular field, like science or technology. In this system, elected representatives may still exist, but they are not necessarily the primary decision-makers. Instead, experts in their respective fields are selected based on their knowledge and performance, rather than political affiliation or popularity. The idea of technocracy is not new and has been around since the early 20th century. It was initially used to solve social problems using scientific methods, but it has evolved into a more practical form, where experts are appointed to administer government functions and recommend legislation. One profound implication of technocracy is that it challenges the traditional democratic model where elected officials make decisions based on popular vote. Technocracy may lead to a merit-based system where the most qualified individuals are in charge, potentially creating a more efficient government. However, critics argue that technocracy creates a divide between the ruling technocrats and the general public, leading to a lack of democratic participation and representation. Additionally, it raises concerns about the concentration of power in the hands of a few experts and the potential for abuse of that power. Temple OS. This is a strange operating system created by a man named Terry A. Davis, who claimed to have received instructions from God to build it as the third temple prophesied in the Bible. Davis was a programmer who developed the system by himself over the course of a decade after experiencing manic episodes that he believed were a revelation from God. It has a resolution of 640x 480, 16 colors, and single-voice audio, which were designed according to explicit instructions from God. The system was programmed with an original variation of C named Holy C, and it includes an original flight simulator, compiler, and kernel. Davis experienced a series of manic episodes which led him to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. He believed that he was in direct communication with God and that God told him the operating system was for God's third temple. He began developing Temple OS around 2003 and renamed it several times before settling on the current name. Temple OS received mostly sympathetic reviews, with some tech journalists and reviewers praising Davis's work despite his mental illness. After Davis's death, many people praised his programming skills and dedication to creating an entire operating system alone. Temple OS is now in the public domain, and Davis's family has requested donations to organizations working to ease the pain and suffering caused by mental illness. Track 61. For decades, rumors have circulated about a secretive train station in New York City that is supposedly used by U.S. presidents for secret transportation.
So this is track 61?
Yes, right over here behind us are tracks built specifically for Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his train.
Known as Track 61, this hidden station is located beneath the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, and despite occasional sightings, it remains shrouded in mystery. Over the years, Track 61 is said to have hidden the comings and goings of a number of presidents, including George W. Bush, who allegedly had the station prepped for a quick getaway route while he took meetings at the hotel. While military generals and celebrities are also rumored to have used Track 61 for clandestine movements, confirming any of these reports has proven difficult due to the station's high level of secrecy. Tulpas. Tulpa is a paranormal concept that involves creating a being or object through mental or spiritual powers. Modern practitioners called tulpamancers create imaginary friends that they believe are sentient and independent. The concept is based on the idea of emanation body and is believed to have originated in Tibet. Some practitioners even claim that their imaginary friends can communicate with them and have or romantic relationships with them. Tulpas are independent thought forms that exist in the mind like an imaginary friend. They're said to have their own thoughts, feelings, and opinions that are separate from the host's. It's said there are tests to determine if a tulpa is sentient by communicating with them and observing their behavior. Signs of sentience include full sentences and independent opinions, as well as unexpected actions. While the concept of tulpas may seem bizarre or unexplained to some, and there is no scientific evidence to support, for those who practice it, practitioners state it can be a fulfilling and meaningful experience. Unknown bunkers. Mount Yamantau is the highest mountain in the southern Ural section of the Ural Mountains in Russia, and it is known locally as the Evil Mountain. However, what makes it more interesting is the controversy surrounding a secret underground bunker complex believed to be hidden inside. The United States claims that the Russian government or Russian armed forces have built a massive underground facility similar to the Cheyenne Mountain complex, possibly for nuclear purposes. Satellite images have shown large excavation projects in the area. The Russian government has given various explanations for the site, including being a mining site, a repository for treasures, a food storage area, and a bunker for leaders in case of nuclear war. The garrisons built on the site were unified into the closed town of Mezhgorye in 1995, which is said to house 30,000 workers each, served by large rail lines. Despite repeated questions, the Russian government has not provided a clear answer about the purpose of the site. Wendigo. The Wendigo is a malevolent spirit or creature that originates from the folklore of Plains and Great Lakes natives and some First Nations in North America. It is said to be a giant humanoid creature that possesses human beings and invokes feelings of insatiable greed, hunger, and the desire to cannibalize other humans. The Wendigo is often associated with winter, coldness, famine, and starvation. In some traditions, humans overpowered by greed could turn into Wendigos. The myth thus served as a method of encouraging cooperation and moderation. Other sources say Wendigos were created when a human resorted to cannibalism to survive. Humans could also turn into Wendigos by being in contact with them for too long. The Wendigo has also been used in modern psychiatry to describe a culture-bound syndrome known as Wendigo psychosis, which is characterized by an intense craving for human flesh and an intense fear of becoming a cannibal. The Wendigo has been featured in popular culture, including in Marvel comics, horror fiction, films, and television series. However, these depictions often include features that do not appear in the original indigenous stories. Wessex Way Monster. The Wessex Way Monster is a strange and mysterious creature caught on film in 2007 on a highway in England. The video shows a humanoid figure with a human-like head, body, and legs running on all fours. Many theories have been proposed to explain the creature, including that it is an undiscovered species, an insane man, misidentified wildlife, or a hoax. However, paranormal investigators have concluded that the video is genuine and not a fake. The identity and origin of the Wessex Way Monster remain unexplained and mysterious. Will-o'-the-Wisp. The will-o'-the-wisp is a mysterious phenomenon that has been reported throughout history by travelers crossing treacherous habitats, usually marshlands, by night. It is also known by many other names such as corpse candle, fairy lights, and elf fire. Despite its prevalence in literature and accounts, there is still no scientific explanation for the phenomenon. Some have suggested that it could be attributed to bioluminescence, as seen in glowworms and fireflies. However, personal observation has shown that there is no flying or suspended insect involved in the will-o'-the-wisp lights. Others have suggested that it could be due to chemiluminescence, which is the emission of light during a chemical reaction, or even combustion. However, the nature of the flame observed in will-o'-the-wisp sightings is quite different from ordinary combustion flames. Tantalizingly, all of the most reasonable physico-chemical and biological explanations for the will-o'-the-wisp phenomenon have proved to be unsatisfactory in some respect. As a result, it remains a fascinating mystery. Yvette's Bridal Formal. Yvette's Bridal Formal is a website that is sure to leave you scratching your head in confusion. From its dizzying color scheme to its bizarre collection of links, this site is a real enigma. Upon entering the homepage, you are greeted by a replica of a Leonardo da Vinci painting and a multitude of links in different colors. As you navigate through the site, you will come across content that ranges from alien conspiracies to demonic possession. Clicking on a link about the Salem witch trials will lead you down a rabbit hole of rambling discussions about government conspiracies and the Easter Bunny. Another link will take you to a page that delves into the molecular demonic virus, a virus that contains malevolent spirits that are ready to possess their host. The site also features MS Paint illustrations of frogs, aliens, and more, and the overall design is the brainchild of a man named Sean Terrence Best. Yvette's Bridal originally commissioned Best to design their website, but instead of creating something simple and straightforward, he injected his own personality into the site, leading to the oddity that it is today. Although Yvette's Bridal was not pleased with Best's design and has since disowned it, he remains proud of his artistic creation and simply wishes to share it with the world. The original website has been removed, but a mirror site still exists for the curious and adventurous to explore.
Hey guys, make sure you like and subscribe for more videos like this. He fell deep in the rabbit hole on this one, so help him out. Yeah, what a trippy fucking world we live in.